you all do not cooperate when Mr. Pawan Kalyan is speaking, we will have to cancel the question and answer round. So please cooperate, let him speak, and we will give you a chance to ask him questions. So please, everyone, cooperate. We are all want the same thing over here, okay? All right. So next up, we have Megan Fallon. Megan is an entrepreneur. Megan is an entrepreneur, a designer, and a passionate mountaineer. Bringing these diverse talents together as the CEO of Barefoot College International, she exemplifies exceptional vision and commitment to social leadership while advocating for strong professional practices within a social innovation context. Her commitment to empowering illiterate and semi-illiterate rural women across the developing world through a mastery of technology, unlocking rural girls' creativity and confidence while leveraging their human potential embodied in poorer rural communities is an inspiring journey of risk-taking and respect. In her current role at Barefoot College, she leads an award-winning international social enterprise that has, for 43 years, modeled itself on the lifestyle and work style of Mahatma Gandhi. So presenting to you, Megan Fallon.
Namaste, everybody. Really honored to be here. Okay, we're going to go without the clicker. I'm not going to talk about my personal journey because the work for me is my passion, and I think it speaks very much to why I do this. I think that'll be evident to you. I thought I'd share a little bit about the kind of work that we do at Barefoot College. Barefoot College is an extraordinary place. Imagine somewhere where words like social justice, inclusion, diversity, they're not words, they're a way of life. They've been a way of life there since 1972, and we're on our third generation of people living and working for Barefoot College. It is based on, they need to move a slide. It's based on the lifestyle and work style of Mahatma Gandhi, and central to that are two beliefs. The first one is, can you please change the slide? To live simply so that others may simply live. And this attitude, this philosophy of always asking ourselves what we can do without is very much at the heart of how we operate. And the second one is Gandhi believed very strongly in honoring the wisdom, skills, and knowledge that existed in poor rural communities. So our work is based on working with the poorest of the poor, living on less than $1.25 a day, not only in India, but now across the global south. Okay, gotta move faster, I'm gonna exceed my time. Nope, that way. Awesome. Much easier. So we work in 5 program areas. We work on water, we work on renewable energy, we work on education, non-formal education, and we work on livelihood and enterprise development. We also work on advocacy, and that takes 2 forms. One, we certainly work on advocacy for rights-based information and rights-based programs in India to disseminate that knowledge to the poor, but also very much on advocacy with governments to change policy. We are a true social enterprise in the sense that we are working on what I call triple bottom line delivery. Yes, we deliver programs. More importantly, we use human-centric design to look at the social norms, barriers, and systems that have created inequality in the first place. And we very consciously design around those. And lastly, we work on systemic and long-term policy change so that the things that we're doing are institutionalized in government budgets and government policies so that these kinds of inequalities can actually be eradicated. The campus is set in rural Rajasthan between Jaipur and Ajmer, and we have more than 260 people living on the main campus in Rajasthan. It's fully solar electrified. We exist on rainwater harvesting. And it has been solar electrified since 1998, which is pretty exceptional. It is, as far as I know, the only college in the world built by and for the rural poor. So you see me speaking to you today, but I am not Barefoot College. Barefoot College was built by a beautiful collaboration between urban educated youth and youth in rural areas. And this magic of bringing these two groups together is, I think, what has sustained it through all these years and what we now work very hard to exemplify. So we redefined professionalism. We like to talk about professionals as being confident, competent, and having belief. Having a certificate doesn't make you a professional in our eyes. We started in education, but non-formal education, and in fact trying to capture all of the children in rural areas who do not attend state school for a variety of reasons. Most importantly, they're needed to help families subsist in their way of life. It's not to be confused with child labor, but it takes everyone in a family to survive in rural India still today. So primarily these are girls. More than 80% of the girls who attend this program come from families where their brothers most probably do go to school, but they in fact do not. They herd goats, in fact, in many cases, or work in fields from 6:30 in the morning until 5:30 in the evening. And then they go home, do their chores, and come to our solar-powered night schools. The curriculum is a big change from what you find in the government schools. First of all, the teachers are from the community. They're non-formally trained teachers, and they are capacity built by us to be able to deliver a place-based, issue-based, and civil society development curriculum. This means that mathematics lessons are based on crop rotation and crop yield. We figured out early on that if you can give girls fantastic skills in practical knowledge, their value at home goes up dramatically. Fathers are far less likely to see them as a marriageable financial commodity and much more likely to want to keep them around at home. What happens is we run a children's parliament, so we have a prime minister, we have a minister of education, minister of water, and incredibly, in 35 years, there's never been a boy prime minister. We've only ever had girl prime ministers. It is a thoroughly engaged and interactive program that is really extraordinary and unique in the fact that children are really encouraged to be 100% who they are and to participate fully in their own learning. We'll come back to why that's important in a minute. Our exploration of solar energy started very early on, and this is a remarkable program now which has gone global. And so I'll talk about this just for a minute. We work in solar-powered reverse osmosis desalinization of water because water is one of our primary areas of work. More importantly, we also started working on solar cooking and then solar home lighting. We began looking at light as a human right, not a luxury item that you ought to be able to be rich to afford. Access to clean light is a human right, and it enables everything that we would like to see positively coming out of the developing world. So for 1.8 billion people, this is light. And for many million children, this is how they study at night. This is a young boy in Belize, and then they throw the batteries in the water source outside the door when they're done. But it's a bit tough to learn to read and to really interact and be able to do livelihood or be able to have a healthy environment. The #1 killer of women in the developing world is the inhalation of black smoke coming off of bad kerosene, which is what you see in this picture. And whole families use that for light at night. So we'd like to change that picture. We think this is a much more holistically healthy picture for children to learn with good quality light and also whole households illuminated. In 2010, we started training women and men to be solar engineers. we started looking at why can't civilians, why can't citizens be empowered with technology and technology knowledge to be able to serve their own basic needs. And what came out of that was a couple of extraordinary lessons. The first one is we learned very quickly on men are untrainable. They're restless, they're mobile, and the minute they learn a skill, they run to the nearest city and they leave their communities. And women, on the other hand, were completely the opposite. Women are grounded in their community. What they do for their families, for their children, for their way of life, and nothing motivates them to leave and abandon the people that they love and care about. So we decided that they were the best bet going. Now that was before I learned from the United Nations that in fact, for every dollar earned by a man in the developing world, only 27 cents go back to his family. For a woman, it's 85 cents. So, I'm always looking for the economic angle here to try to prove what I instinctually know, which is that women are by far the best investment we can make in the developing world. So we started bringing women from countries all over the developing world to India for 6 months to train them as fully functioning solar engineers. Now this is an extraordinary program, and guess who pays for it? The government of India. The Ministry of External Affairs has a program called ITEC, the India Technical Economic Cooperation Program, and the Barefoot College is one of the accredited programs in this. That means I can choose up to 40 women every 6 months from any developing world country, and the government of India pays their travel and training to come to India. Now there's a catch. I only take women who are illiterate and semi-literate. So 40 women from 10 countries who can't read and write, who don't speak the same language, who've never left their villages, make a journey to India that is epic every 6 months. Their tenacity, courage, absolute, clear commitment to making quality of life better for each and every person in their community is extraordinary and is absolutely admirable. They are not learning light technology. This is not Legoland. These women are learning circuitry. They are building circuit boards. They're fabricating solar home lighting systems. And in fact, today, these women have made this program the single largest distributor of solar home lighting systems at the bottom of the pyramid in the world. 2 years ago, we were very blessed. I had a fabulous opportunity to meet Lisa Jackson from Apple. And Apple was looking to learn with us about what would happen when we put really high quality technology into the hands of the rural poor. And we started a collaboration to integrate Apple quality digital tools into both the solar engineering training and also into our education programs. And what has come from that is an amplification of the impact, both in terms of the women's capacity, but also our capacity to disseminate to many more people this information. What you might not realize when you look at this slide is that all of the circuitry was designed, in fact, by illiterate and semi-literate, non-formally educated rural Indians. To be able to be one of only 2 Indian organizations who have exported their model globally, I think is something really to be proud of. And I am most happy to share that with you because it's something you all should be proud of too. When we bring light, we don't just bring a lantern, we light up a whole household. And we do it for every household in a community. And they are means tested. They are participants in this program. They have helped us to develop this into a blended social enterprise, which now sells, markets, and sends these home lighting systems around the developing world. In 2008, we had this sort of a footprint, 5 countries, and today we are in 81 countries. There's not too many for-profit enterprises that have had that kind of scale and that kind of ability to partner with organizations all over the world. I think that's one of the beauties of social enterprise. But we've trained more than 960 women solar engineers. And in recognition of that, the government of India has now funded us to build 5 barefoot colleges in sub-Saharan Africa. We're also working on one in Guatemala, one in Fiji, and one in Myanmar. So this model is going to go global in a very large way. We recognized that data and being able to report on impact was incredibly important, and we couldn't afford to buy any of the fancy data collection services. So we went to the drawing board on a Thursday morning, and within a week we figured out how to use a lot of open source software and be able to create our own, which we did. And it's now delivered by women and by my staff around the world in communities themselves. And that data is fed back. These are some images from the women. That data is fed back, and we use that data then to be able to advocate with government. We don't talk about gender. I don't talk about gender equality when we go to a community to introduce this model. But you can bet when she climbs up there and puts that panel and turns on the lights, and the whole village gives the village exactly what they want most. Her place, her recognition, her role as a role model for other girls and even young boys is assured. We don't need to talk about gender. She becomes a wise professional in that community, and her role is changed forever. But of course, it's never enough, and so she asked for more, and we said, okay, what do you want? Because everything we do at Barefoot comes from the bottom up. And she told us there were 8 categories of information that she wanted in order to be able to sustain long-term economic viability. So we started doing micro-enterprise with her, basic rights-based work, home budgeting, women's reproductive health and wellness. They now become teachers of all of these skills. They have to high-five after they learn everything. That's not to say great job, it's to say you have to teach 5 more women. So it's gone viral through the women. All of these things are digitized without language so that they can be disseminated across languages. These are tribal women, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, Jharkhand. These are women who never even knew what a digital tool was, and they're taking an iPad back to their villages. We started developing sustainable livelihoods and creating curriculums around sustainable livelihoods for those communities so they could then build economic mobility and economic energy on that. We launched our first round of honey last year. It was sold out. We'll now go to 5 states in India with the honey model. And so you too can buy Be Barefoot honey soon, coming near you. We developed a clothing line and a training program for master trainers within the solar engineers, which they now train on in their training centers. This line has been incredibly successful in East Africa, and again we'll move to Latin America this year. The women were really proud to present the Prime Minister with some of their products last year. In fact, he's, for those of you who don't know him, he loves technology, and so he was really fascinated with the solar technology. I think the important thing to note is that in thinking about India as a global leader, this shift that's coming now, a leader within a South-South conversation, and really driving different kinds of development initiatives. We are really looking at this as the first, and I hope of many, initiatives that partner with government, with host governments in the global South, to take Indian best practices of fine community work and show their relevance to all developing world countries. This problem of the digital divide and inequality that exists between those of us who have access to energy, access to connectivity, and access to content, which means we can learn and access what we'd like to know, is a critical issue, and in its wake comes a lot of the issues that we're finding around radicalism. and in the space where there's no information, good information comes slower somehow than bad information. So we started looking at the existing model we have and how it can scale even further. And since there's a workshop in every community that has 300 watts of power on it, we then went to our in-house R&D team, also non-formally educated. I think there's one in that team who has 8 years of primary school. And we built a solar-powered iPad charger, started putting Wi-Fi routers that are solar-powered into rural communities, tribal communities in India first, and then using the digital tools for kids to be able to exchange and to develop their own content to share. So I'm going to leave you on that note, and with just one final thought, which is a Gandhi thought, which is we may never know the effect of our actions, but if we do nothing, nothing will change.
All right, you guys have been great so far. So please be great going forward too. And if you guys are tweeting, please use the hashtag IndiaConference2020. Great. So before we introduce the speaker, we have a 2-minute clip that's gonna come. So Pratik, can you
దశాబ్దాలుగా చనిపోతున్నప్పటికీ ఏ ఒక్క ప్రజాప్రతినిధి దృష్టికి ఎందుకు వెళ్ళలేదు?
Not more than that, I promise, right? I didn't know that I would be in this situation to try and introduce someone everyone already knew. This is probably my poster buying moment at Harvard as well. So, I'm here to introduce you to Mr. Pawan Kalyan, but not to the superstar, the politician, the activist, and the social worker, who's committed himself to the socio-economic development of the masses by participating in grassroots politics. In a country where election strategies are still developed on the lines of caste and religion, Mr. Kalyan, wow. So Mr. Kalyan has basically developed a new strategy and he's reaching it, I'm sorry guys, it's too much stress. But, it happens, I know. I I've often heard you say, I have no caste, I have no religion, I'm just an Indian. Right? Just yesterday, there was a rally of more than 500 cars, which happened in Nashua, in Mr. Kalyan's honor. So taking no more time, I invite Mr. Kalyan.
అందరికీ నా హృదయపూర్వక నమస్కారం. And pay my heartfelt respects to the divinity within each one of you. I also pay my deep respects to the founding fathers of Harvard and to their continuing legacy of excellence in human thought. I would like to convey my heartfelt thanks to the student community of Harvard and the committee who hosted all this. To Mehul and his team, thank you a lot for inviting me. It's a privilege to be one of the speakers here, and thank you. So you have to understand the situation. The reason is, I started my education at street school. It's quite difficult for me to address a speech in Harvard. You have to understand this. My preteens and adolescent years, from late 70s to early 90s, was a beginning and end for so many cultural, socio-cultural and political changes happened. So for me, as a kid, I was coming from a very small, lower middle class family. My father started his life as a police constable, and my mother being a housewife, and their family of 5. So I was a sick child. I had a bronchitis problem, so I had ample time to contemplate about life's problems. Whenever I used to fall sick, not going to school, I used to be at home, I used to have all the time to think about what's happening around. So one day, maybe just finished my street school, which means it's literally on the street. In a small town called Ongol, my father shifted to, transferred to the small town. So they put me to another school, which is definitely a better school than what I used to study there, where I had studied earlier. So in that school, one day we had a lesson. My teacher was telling about, in the class, the lesson's name is Ma Badi. It means our school. The lesson explains how beautiful our school is and what kind of school it is. And we have such beautiful trees, we have a huge playground, and we have a lot of things to play. We have a beautiful library, we have this kind of books. So it goes on, goes on. And suddenly my teacher turned because I said something to my friend and everyone were giggling. And I said, Kalyan, get up. I said, what were you saying? And I said, I had a talk and I was sharing with this guy. I said, what is it? I said, our school doesn't have a playground and we don't have books and we don't have any trees. And for me, what the teacher did, she told me to get up and she gave me the beating of my life. Till now I could never forget that. Because for me, the first time I realized in my life what had been written in the books, what had been said in the spoken word, and the reality are two different things. So for me, that has become a lifetime obsession to see the gap between what has been said and what has been done. That has become a lifetime obsession. So till now, my obsession is, even in the political manifesto, it still manifests. What they promise and what they deliver are two different things. So for that reason, it has become such an obsession to me. I lost my focus in my education, constantly I used to see issues everywhere, problems everywhere. So successfully, I failed in my exams, I successfully failed in my exams, so I could not continue my education. So I had to stop. So the reason was, I was so stressed out, and all my friends were going to for universities in America, and they were doing good things. And here I've been failing. I failed in 10th grade, I failed in 11th grade, I failed in 12th grade. I was consistently I was failing. I went into some kind of depression, and I wanted to commit suicide. Because for me, it was such a painful situation. Here, I could see pain and problems everywhere, and my focus is not on education, on the social ills. So I thought of committing suicide. My brother, I think most of you know that my brother is also an actor. And he had a licensed pistol. So I thought of taking his pistol. I wanted to kill myself for the humiliation, I'm not able to live up what my promise or what my parents had taught of me to become something. That was the pain I had. So luckily I said to one of my family members, and they hold me somewhere, they counseled me, and they somehow, I could not go ahead with that. And later I had given up my education, and somehow I started doing whatever I could do. Maybe I was experimenting with my life after that. I went into a different kind of education. I did my computers, and I went into yoga. I did a lot of martial arts and everything. I was continuing like that. For me, as we all know that, every individual is a product of his time and environment. This was my environment I grew up. So finally, what annoyed me or what irritated me was to come into politics after being an actor. For me, to get into acting in the first place, I was not at all interested in acting. I wanted to be a yogi. And because for me, I wanted to be away from this materialistic life. I was deeply in yoga. I was doing a lot of meditations for a few hours. And I used to give a lot of nice spiritual lectures to everyone in my family. So one day my brother was quite a hard worker, and he used to work day and night. He used to come home completely tired. Here I said, I used to tell him what life is all about. One day he was so irritated with me, and he said, "Idiot." Yeah, he called me idiot. Whatever you say, I agree with you. Can you be the same guy and same person, even after being something, after creating something, after getting to something, make something concrete, and achieving something? Could you be the same thing when I listened to you? I said. And that was an awakening to me. So it took me some time. Now suddenly life is right in front of me. I don't know this. I missed my education. I missed everything possible. The only opportunity I had was acting. And you have to understand me, I'm quite shy. And even now if I have to go to shoot, I will never go straight. I always say, go like this, go. I go from a corner and go, and secretly, like first shot, I always get into in a discreet manner. Then I feel comfortable. So imagine my plight, when I had started. I was shy, and finally, out of necessity, I had to come out of my own shackles. So what I did, finally after becoming an actor, so what my whole passion was, all through my childhood, I was studying society. I was studying things around me. At one point of time in my childhood, because before I was consistently, one of the reasons why I was failing was, I could see a lot of issues, a lot of injustice happening around me. I wanted to get into some kind of extremist outfits like Naxalites and all. My brother was very worried about my future. He doesn't know how to control me. He thought if I would buy him a gun, maybe he will confine himself not to go into this kind of extremist outfits. But my problem was, not about extremity, not about getting into Naxalites or radicals. For me, my problem was how to address these issues. Because for me, I have always seen law, Indian law, any situation, gross injustice happens, the law is applied weakly to the strong and strongly to the weak. That's the problem of our country. So for me, somehow I was very upset. And all through my life I struggled because, as I said, especially in late 70s and 90s, it was quite a turbulent time, at least for me. The reason was, I wanted to embrace an ideology, and here we had capitalism one side, and still communism was quite active then, and Union of Soviet Socialist Republic was still active. And for me, my father comes from a communist family, and he was a hardcore communist. My mother is a deeply religious, and my father, like any other Indian communist, I don't know. Definitely, my father, like other communists, I don't know. But my father was also a great devotee of Swami Vivekananda and Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So the contrast of communism and Swami Vivekananda teachings used to be right in my home. It used to be quite confusing for me. So I don't know which one to embrace. So I was to wonder what kind of ideology is needed for me to go ahead. That I had these problems. So for me, as I was going ahead, after I had become an actor, and finally I thought, I could not do all this, so let me, at least in my films, let me project what I have, what I feel about society. So once in a while, when I get an opportunity, I used to convey it through my films and songs for an extent, but it did not give me enough satisfaction. Always I used to feel short of something, I used to feel irritated with me, and I tried different aspects of filmmaking, but nothing could give me the complete satisfaction. So only there used to be some kind of, I used to fall short. So for me, when I had been noticing so many things like the political situation happening around me, the one particular situation was, what hurts me is the divisiveness of our country. For me, Nani Palkiwala, the eminent lawyer who passed away, he's a great role model for me. I keep admiring him a lot. He says, we have Maharashtrians, we have Andhras, we have Tamilians, we have Hindus, we have Muslims, we have every kind of sect except Indians. For me, society has divided into so many verticals. For me, this divisiveness is to always worry me. And two qualities really propelled me to get into politics was, one is the passiveness of our country, passiveness of Indian society, and the divisiveness of Indian society. For me, the divisiveness I had seen right from grade. My sister was she's around 16, 17 then, she used to go to dance school. And my father being a policeman, and my sister went for a dance class one evening, and she came back crying. What exactly happened was, a local thug caught hold of her hand, he was dragging her, like he was taking her away. And so many people were just blindly looking at her, no one had moved, not even an inch. And finally something happened, she had to rescue herself, and she came back crying, and she came back home running. For me at that age, it was filled with rage, I want to kill that guy. That's what happened to me. That's how society has become passive. For me, that was the reason I had seen the same attitude was getting multiplied every day and every day. So the reason, after some time, being an actor, I realized the way our state has been divided, and for me it was a very painful situation, not about the state division, the issue, the way government handled, the parties handled, They took care of the issue. They kept the issue for 17 years. They kept the issue in cold storage. And one fine day they had woken up and they broke the state in 12 hours. The kind of problems, what still we are unfolding here in both the states is mindless division without any thought process. That's what had really irritated me and really annoyed me. The problem is, it is governments without any thought, they can do anything they want without any thought, without any forethought, without any proper exercising. That has created a lot of problems. For me, the divisiveness is always a problem. Imagine in one country,